because this one's all black with that racing stripe, you can tell it's a juvenile. I can also tell that it's male. You know how? Because every single ribbon eel is born a male. As they grow into adulthood, they change into this lovely blue and yellow. Now, unlike garden eels, these eels don't mind buddying up. This older gentleman here, for example, is sharing his hole with a juvenile. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons why it can happen, but at some point, some adult males turn into females. And when they do that, they change color again to all yellow. Pretty cool, right? Get to see what that's like. Steep price, though, because they immediately mate, lay eggs, and then die, all within about a month. Now, you might have already noticed...
So, in case, Zay, this is you making an argument against me that I've been saying, for those of you who don't know, I have been saying that the point of life is family, is to be a mommy, is to be a parent. Like, that's where the gold is. That's where all the good stuff is. Those special moments. It's not going to get any better than that. And also I've been saying that, I believe that the first primordial being, entity, oversoul, what have you, is more of a woman, female, than it is male. So it looks to me like Zay is making an argument against that by pointing out these specific kinds of eels that start off as males and some of them once in a while turn into females. So first of all, let's tackle that part. This is an eel. These are not human beings. Human beings, we love to talk a big game about how we're the chosen species, right? We're the chosen ones. We're the ones God favors the most, and we were made in God's image. Supposedly. So, yeah, there's a reason why we're at the top of the food chain. There's a reason why I make YouTube videos and eels just float around looking like dumbasses at the bottom of the ocean and look like they can barely catch any freaking fish. And I believe it says at some point in the Bible even. So there's a certain passage that says that God put like all the animals here for human beings, for mankind's use. And I think that's the specific word there. It's not for our consumption or so on and so forth. It's for us to use them as we need. And I think that's because we're meant to compare and contrast ourselves to other animals in order to figure out what we are. What makes a human being a human being. So yes, you're going to have the odd species here and there that might start off as male and a few of them switch to female, rather than, from what I understand, the trend is, or the rule is, that most creatures start off as female, and then once in a while some of them switch to being male. So yeah, it makes sense that if the other animals were here to teach us more about ourselves and what's important, then it makes sense that at least a handful of species will be the opposite of that to show us. And that might be the same argument you were making with the blowfish, showing that like the male puts in a bunch of work to make the nest or whatever, for the eggs, and then the female just comes along, mates really quickly, lays the eggs, and then leaves the male to take care of the babies. Again, that's, as far as I understand it, that's an exception. That's not the rule. And there's a reason why pufferfish are not running the world. All right? So there's that. I think I've already also made the argument that, but I'll make it again, it's worth making. If we were meant to just further, so I think what Zay Frank's side of the argument is here is that it's just self-exploration, know thyself, and that's the journey, and that's what life is all about. That's what everything is all about, just your own personal journey of self-exploration and, you know, poor things or whatever. I've been hearing about that movie left, right, and center, and I haven't watched it yet, but that's what I gather is this chick who's, it's creepy from what I've read about this story. Put a baby's brain in a woman's body. And dudes want to have sex with it. Oh, makes sense. Oh. But that seems to be like the overarching story there is this chick is, you know, it's the never-ending self-exploration type of thing. I don't disagree that women and men should be able to, like, there should be some amount of self-exploration and knowing yourself, but that is like a never-ending quest, and if you keep on that quest and avoid the whole kids and family, like, you'll never have the kids in the family. You'll never have it if it's just all about self-exploration. If you believe that, Zay, like, if you think that it's just all about, again, like, if it was supposed to be that way, we would have stopped at single-celled organisms carbon copying themselves into the future. Because the quest for perfection is toxic, and that's kind of what that is, isn't it? This self-exploration quest. It's a little bit like, it's driven, I think, by the quest for perfecting oneself. Not just knowing yourself. Like, why would you want to know yourself unless there was some goal there, unless it was like, oh, I'm trying to perfect myself. That seems to be the drive behind knowing yourself better, like figuring out your shortcomings and so on and so forth, so they can be improved. Because it's the quest, it's the toxic, never-ending quest for perfection. At a certain point, you just have to be like, you know what? I'm good enough. Time to settle down, have some kids, and pass the torch. Right? And I dare you. I dare every single one of you. I dare you. Zay, all of you. Yohim, all of my suspects, I dare you. Leave your families, leave your partners, go be celibate single monks. Go be by yourselves. If you really think it's all about the quest of, you know, self-exploration, well, you can do that a lot more easily if you're not being distracted by kids, grandkids, a partner. You can still sit around and read philosophies. You can still sit around and think about yourselves, right? I'm not saying don't financially support your family, but you can financially support them and not be around them. Go live in a little, you know, single one-bedroom apartment somewhere. You shouldn't need much. No, very little contact with friends or other people. Go ahead. Nobody will do that willingly. No one. Go ask an astronaut. Go ask anybody who ever did anything that we consider to be great and awe-inspiring. Ask them if they had to choose between doing that or having a family. I guarantee you, every single time, unless they're a psychopath, and I bet you even sometimes the psychopaths would say this, if they had to choose between doing the great thing that they did or having a family, they're going to be like, fuck it, I don't want, like, it wasn't that great. But I'm not giving up my family for anything. I bet you every single freaking astronaut that ever got into a rocket ship, if asked, You know, especially the ones where the rocket ships blew up and the astronaut didn't make it. If asked, like, was it worth it to sacrifice time, all that potential and the time with your family, the ability to be a wife or a husband, have kids, they'll be like, no, not worth it at all. Being blown up in a rocket ship, not worth it at all. Even like walking on the moon, first man to walk on the moon, I guarantee you, ask him if you had to do that or have a family. If you couldn't have both, you had to pick, he'd pick the family. Everybody would. Everybody with like 2 brain cells and a little bit of common sense. I dare you, Zay. If you truly believe your side of the argument, leave your wife, leave your kids, leave them with some gobs of money, and say, good luck to you guys. Go. My journey's gonna be alone now, and you guys all, enjoy your journey. Yeah, and it's part of the journey, guys. Hardships and obstacles, and you're just gonna have to overcome not having a father and a husband and father around now. But here, you just leave them some money. They'll be fine. They'll get over it, right, Zay? They'll get over it. It'll be all right. It's all part of the journey. And that way, it'll free up a lot more of your time to self-explore. Fucking stupid as fuck. Oh my goodness. No, please. Bring me another argument. Oh my gosh. Like, when is this shit gonna end? When are you gonna give up? It's just stupid. Like, every argument you're throwing at me is just ridiculous. Oh, look at these eels. The females, they're all males, and some of them turn into females just long enough to mate, lay eggs, and then they die. It's really fucking, it's just stupid. Oh my gosh, like, again, was it not enough that I fucking had to read that passage from the Epic of Gilgamesh for you? We've known this to be the case, my side of the argument, we've known this to be the truth for like 6,000 years. That's one of the oldest freaking stories in the history of mankind. But you just can't, I guess you're not satisfied and happy with the family life. So that's why you're arguing for the whole self-exploration thing. I mean, and again, that's more of a reason why, just leave them. Just leave them. Go explore yourself some more, dude. Leave your family. Leave them with a couple $1 million or something. I'm sure they'll make it through with that. Or you can keep just sending them money. Just leave them. Go ahead. That goes for all of you. Richard Hart, Tony Robbins, no more contact with your kids, no more contact with your grandkids, no more contact with the spouse. Go live a monk's life and go meditate on, like, doing you and figuring yourself out some more. Go ahead. See how much fun it is. Because most of you, you've spent more of your life surrounded by familial support than not. So I think you take that shit for granted. You're spoiled little boys. And I am so fucking just tired. So I had like 3 hours of sleep. And woke up to these cats freaking making messes in my kitchen, which they just did again. All right. Yeah, no, spoiled little boys. Here's the thing. As much as these cats make messes, I wouldn't trade them for being here alone. That'd just make my life even shittier, wouldn't it? I know, because I've lost some cats along the way, and I still cry about it and still beg, God or whatever, or please give you these kittens back that just disappeared. Y'all are just freaking so obnoxious and spoiled and just... no, it's all about me, self-exploration. Like, there's only so much of that you can do, first of all, in a human lifespan. You'll never completely I don't think anyone will ever completely figure themselves out. Again, yeah, at a certain point, you just have to go, good enough, time to have a family. But I think for those of you who, like, have the family, again, yeah, you're spoiled. You don't get it. Prove me wrong, Zay. No, prove me wrong. Again, leave the family. Leave your wife. Leave your kids. Go live as a freaking hermit. Go ahead. Keep exploring yourself with your hand. Oh, and no buddying up with any apprentices, any, younger apprentice. No buddying up. All right? Because that's new and exciting. That's like the beginnings of like a new relationship and a new adventure and stuff like that. Which is fun for a while, but then that quite often settles back down into like the family and the family patterns and so on and so forth. So that'll just quicken your stuff. No, be alone. Be totally, utterly alone. No friends hanging out with you, nothing. Go ahead. See how much fun it is. Since this is what it's all about, self-exploration. You can more easily do that on your own at this point. You've spent enough time around people. Like, I'm not saying that human beings, I'm not arguing that we should just be alone from day one, totally. Like, you've spent enough time around human beings that you should be able to know yourself based on, like, some things about yourself based on your interactions with them, right? But there's plenty that you need solitude to know about. To discover about yourself. You need solitude for that. Go be by yourself. Go on. Since you keep making this fucking argument, I'm sick of it. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Boys. Who did this? This is what it was like this morning when I woke up. I mean, I fixed it since then. And now they've done it again. Boys. I have to clean this up.